Stay Tuned brings together local experts, journalists, civic leaders, and regular people to have tough conversations for a stronger St. Louis. Add your voice to our conversation, and you're at the table as we stay on top of current events and go deeper, bringing more light and less heat to the issues that matter. From the 9 network of public media in Grand Center, this is Stay Tuned. 2015 was an eventful year in St. Louis, from startups to social justice. We took on a lot of topics on Stay Tuned this past year. Tonight, we'll revisit some of the most invigorating moments of these conversations. The year started in St. Louis for many with tension and a sense of even more division than usual. The events of Ferguson were mostly in 2014, but in 2015, we got an in-depth look in the mirror and plans for how we might move forward. The Department of Justice and the Ferguson Commission issued reports, and that started some honest conversations here at Stay Tuned.
Well, everything is related. Municipalities are joined at the hip to school districts. If the school district is failing, the municipality will fail. If the economy fails, the municipality will fail. So everything's related. That's why on the Ferguson Commission, we have to look at police, we have to look at courts, but beyond that, we really have to look at economics, we have to look at growth, we have to look at expansion, and we have to look at education. So everything is interconnected. I think you're correct. And so that's a great challenge for us as a region. And we have such a history, and how do we begin to chart a different direction? That's the challenge for us.
I think at some point we are going to have to talk about, as a region, why we are separated like this, and the ways that we are separated, and then move to a place where we are really trying to be neighbors with one another. I think at some point we're going to have to talk about racial covenants and why our suburbs were created, and it really wasn't so that we could be closer together as individuals and we could live in integrated communities, because we don't. And so at some point we're going to have that conversation, and then how it impacts our educational system, not to mention our police, right? So we're having this conversation about police, but that same policing practice happens in our schools as well, and it's disparate treatment again. So if we looked at suspension and expulsion rates, they look a lot like our police on the ground. And so, we're going to have to start having real conversations really about race, and then how we could be a region that is healthy, that is clear, that is committed to being a better region, which is incredibly possible, but we have to have honest dialogue about where we're going next.
Is this fast enough for the young people who are in the streets?
I mean, I don't think it's not fast enough, because these are issues that have been going on for years and years and years. These are issues that a community continues to face on a day-to-day basis. So after a while, it's this, you need this change quickly, and that's something that I can say. Once September come, I think the commission has really focused on that. 3 things that we are looking at when it comes to our recommendations: is it transformative, is it unflinching, and is it urgent? And I think the community is going to look at some of these recommendations and say, this is definitely transformative, this is something urgent that we need to act on, and this is a recommendation that's not scared, it's unflinching, it's something that the community is asking for, not elected officials that's trying to water it down. But all the recommendations that have been put forward are from the community members. It's not fast enough, but I think these recommendations that we have, the commission that's going to put forward, are going to change things quicker than you even see policy from lawmakers. I mean, these are some bold recommendations that we're putting forward that should have honestly happened a long time ago.
Yeah. Like, what is bold that comes to mind first for you?
I mean, I think one of the most important things that comes to mind is the need for independent and external prosecutions and investigations of officer-involved deaths, so in-custody deaths, officer-involved shootings. When we talk about building trust and legitimacy in the community, that is the first and most important factor in community and law enforcement relations, right? So if the police recognize that they derive their power from the community, and the community feels that they can actually trust law enforcement and the systems that surround law enforcement, then we can actually see things progress. And part of that is needs to be the perception of impartiality, right? That we can actually say, if this is going to move forward, if a tragedy does occur, which we hope it doesn't, but if it does occur, then I can actually trust and believe that the systems and the people propping up those systems have my best interests at heart and are not out there doing things in their own interest, right? And that's something that we know the community has struggled with. We struggled with it in the wake of Michael Brown's death. We've continued to struggle with it. We've seen communities all across the country struggle with it. So that is something that was in the president's report. It's in the Ferguson Commission report. And I think that that is one of those bold and unflinching pieces.
it's been 7 months since the shooting death of Michael Brown, and since race and law enforcement has been the trending topic across all media platforms. And every time we sit down, I always ask, where are you? How do you feel? Where are you emotionally at this point? It was first after the shooting, then after the verdict, now after the DOJ report around the Ferguson Police Department. Where are you all now?
It's like, yeah, the Mike Brown stuff is over with, but I think it's been being compounded with other situations. The fraternity stuff is going on now, so it's just seemed like it's been more racist than ever in our life from 2014 to now. It's just like an extreme amount.
It's an extreme amount in the media. I don't think anything's different than how it's been. I had people who are like kind of outside of the understanding of like our relationship with the police, and when the DOJ report came out, a lot of my friends, they were like, oh my goodness, like could you believe the things that were said in the DOJ report? I'm like, I live it every day.
And so you can change laws, you can try to, like you said, bring in different programs to reform the police department or do whatever you want, but when you're dealing with the same ideal and the same mindset, that's what needs to be changed. The hearts of people, the understanding of people.
Well, Maya, how has it changed you?
Well, I was going to say the most frustrating thing for me has been probably also one of the more therapeutic things and very necessary things is making sure the conversation keeps happening, both within folks who have lived it, who experienced it, that this DOJ report is nothing new to them, as well as to folks who are like just blown away by it.
You mentioned that it seems like there's more racism than there ever was, just because it's now, people are talking about it more, expressing themselves more. Words do hurt. Do you see moving forward as a possibility that there will eventually be change?
I think that there will be some type of change, and I think that there still is. And the reason why I say that is because people aren't backing down as far as the protest goes, for one.
Are you surprised by that?
I mean, to be honest, I am. I thought that it would be, because the Trayvon Martin thing happened, and then people stopped protesting.
But I just felt a little disheartened to see the world stand up and be like, this is the most outrageous, bad thing we've ever seen, and then nothing happened still. Like, that, for me, that just was like, whatever. Like, I'm done.
I kind of agree with what you're saying, but then again, this particular fight has only been going on for 7 months. Like, we've been struggling for a long time, but like, this fire right here has only been going on for 7 months, and yeah, it's been a bunch of slaps in the face, but it's like, it's just like anything you want, like whether you chasing a dream, whether you fighting for, equality, you don't have to get back up when you get knocked down, and like, people have been showing a great deal of resilience.
What do you need to see, or what would be something that would convince you that's a good sign? What would be a good sign to you?
I'd say the investigation of just all police departments, especially those that police poverty or impoverished Black neighborhoods, or just impoverished neighborhoods in general.
Investing into the school system and just making like education equal all across the board.
Man, because it's the youth. And our children, they go to these schools and like a child's potential is limited to its environment's reach. You can have the kid who can save the entire world right here in St. Louis, but he doesn't have the education to even get a chance to do that. You know what I mean? Like we can give birth to people who can change the world, but when we steady our declining people of those opportunities, we're also declining ourselves opportunities.
I would just like to see our generation just really step in to start mentoring some of these younger people, start really getting involved into some of these younger people's lives who are in poverty and don't necessarily have a way out.
It could be very unrealistic, but out of respect for Mike Brown and the lives lost, that like the killing is not at the level it usually is during this summer. That's something I would like these 3 months or the summer, I would like to see Black people be like, you know what, we're not killing each other. We gonna chill out and do right. That's what I would like to see.